All right, here we are. It's a new day. We're still working on harbor testing, and I want to report on what we did and what we're going to do in the live stream. This will be the only video that's posted to YouTube regarding harbor for today, unless I find something major. So I'm only going to do one summary video. I mean, one kind of here's what we're doing today and here's what we discovered from yesterday, and I'll do a video like that every day. So tomorrow, if you want to see this summary video, what I did today, what actually ended up being in reality, just keep watching on YouTube and you can go watch that video. If you want to participate and want to watch me go through the pain and suffering, live, then come join us on Twitch. All right. So yesterday, beyond getting Minikube installed, we also got Harbor to install into Minikube using Postgres version 16.4, and we did that by fixing the bug in the values.yaml file, which results from the regular command show whatever helm show whatever to get the YAML file. So there's a bug in the values.yaml file that pegs the bitnami harbor chart to version 13 of Postgres, which is going to be end of life next November. So we want to use version 16. And we spent a good amount of time, way more than I would care to have ever done, finding any reference to which it was the standard version of Postgres in Harbor on the Harbor documentation, and there is none. There is officially no documentation stating what the recommended Postgres version is for Harbor 2.11. Period. If you know of any and you found a reference to it, please put it in the comments below or come in my chat and let me know. Because after all of us spent a lot of time trying to answer that one simple question, what version of Postgres can I use? We could not do it. We know that anything past 2.9, according to the documentation, has to be at least version 12 of Postgres. And then we're talking about the version of Postgres, not the chart. It's really important, by the way, that you distinguish those two things. And so that leaves us with a question. Can we even use 16.4? By reviewing the resulting template file from the Helm template command, we were able to see that there are multiple metadata tags that refer to Postgres version 16.4. Did I get that right? Yeah. And 16.4 is more or less the latest stable version. And it appears, we went through looking through the chart, and the chart has hard-coded a reference to the chart.yaml file in the bitnami GitHub repo has 13 point whatever hard coded into the chart.yaml file. It's also hard coded into the values file with a very outdated comment saying that this was added to peg this to 13 because version 2.4 of Harbor doesn't support version 14 of Postgres, which is ancient history at this point. So based on that, we were of the opinion that we could attempt to change that value in the values.yaml file. And that was the only thing I did. So there were other references to 16.4 inside of the values file, which made me think that, okay, this might work with 16.4. So I changed the postgres.sq, what is it? Postgres.image.tag in the values file was changed to the latest tag for 16.4 that was referenced. And I was able to find that exact tag by looking at the bitnami/Postgres chart. And that is the same one from that chart. All of this would seem to indicate that the bitnami charts are built based on subcharts, on the Postgres subcharts, on the Redis subcharts, and that they're being included and that they're being used, and that some parts of the chart, the resulting manifest that comes out of it, the YAML that comes out of it, some parts of that are updated to 16.4, whereas the critical piece that actually gets the image is still stuck on 13 unless you overwrite that. I happen to think it's a bug, and I'm trying to validate that. So today the plan is to test our Postgres that's been installed, to test our Harbor that we've installed in Minikube in my test deployment here on in a VM. It's very possible that something about Minikube running in a VM is not going to allow Harbor to work. So we'll be finding that question out. If that doesn't work, I'll probably be bumping up the date that I buy a new server tower, and my other one got fried in the move, and so it was refurbished, so whatever. But if this Minikube test deployment doesn't work in my home lab, stay tuned on Friday for that. If you wanna come in on home lab Fridays, Friday afternoon is just talking about my own home lab and sharing notes with everybody. So that's the plan. If it doesn't work in Minikube for some reason and we can't validate it, then so what does it mean? What does works mean, right? And that launched me into a kind of a verbose discussion about testing, particularly at the enterprise and in operations. What does it mean to write a test, and why do you need tests, right? Well, you guys know this, but there's test-driven development, but many of the concepts of test-driven development, despite the debate around it, can be applied to enterprise systems development and architecture. And that includes, how do I check that this whole thing works? And if you fall in one of the more traditional, like we built, user stories or use cases to define what's going to happen in the system. If you have those things because you developed the system from scratch, then you may already have, the steps of validation and a procedure to go to. However, most people don't have that, right? And unfortunately, Harbor doesn't have any. It's actually one of the biggest failures of the industry, in my opinion. You barely get documentation about what the system does. This is why you should learn how to read the source code of any system you're maintaining, because that's where the truth is. And then you can go to the next stage, which is, how is this thing going to work in our environment? And if you're an architect or you're in the operations space, you have already kind of had to start thinking about these things, even though the applications developers may not have given you much. One of the biggest talking points in all of Kubernetes and cloud native, thinking is observability, because all of these crazy, microservices that are out there, how do you know if they're even working the way they're supposed to? There's really no answer there. Everything's different. There's no standard, and every system is different. So there has to be a difference. It can't be automated. And so, and then how do you know the system? So this integration testing, the system testing, making sure the thing actually works, is really key. It's key for lots of reasons. It's key for monitoring, so you can tell, in real time, is the system working as designed, right? I mean, that's the main thing. And then there's also another one. Our whole system we just got lightning strike in our thing, and we have to recover our entire system. Disaster recovery, DR. Can you do it? When's the last time you actually tested your disaster recovery scenario? I guarantee you, if you work for the government in certain areas, you've tested it recently. And different enterprises, this is one of those things where Silicon Valley just totally falls on its face. They're all about making new cool stuff and everything, and they don't care about sustainable disaster recovery and backup and stuff like that. I mean, that's a large sweeping statement. Obviously, there's probably groups that do. But this is the thing that gets swept under the rug all the time. And then this is where I get to be, angry man shakes his fist at you. Do you have your disaster recovery test? When's the last time you tested it? Right? And there's also security testing, which we're not going to do. That's not what we're doing. Why am I even talking about systems integration and disaster recovery? I just want to see if I can get Harbor installed in Minikube, right? The reason I'm talking about it is because I can actually accomplish two things at the same time right now. I can write the steps to validate that this system is working, right? In very specific detail. I can write them, actually type them out, not put them in some sort of automated test framework, not spend, 2 days bike shedding which test framework to use. I can just write down what I need to do, and I can follow the plan, the procedure. And so we're going to do that. Why are we going to do that today? And it's going to be very boring, but this is going to give me a written form of validation that the system is working as designed. And it's going to take the form of the user does this and this and this, or the system administrator does this and they see this, right? And those, of course, a lot of those test cases can be put into some form of automated test driven development later. You can put them into your, your GitHub actions and all that stuff. But you have to start somewhere. So you start by writing the procedure, writing the pseudocode of the procedure. The user goes to here, click on this, look at that, see if that's there. Let's try to add a new user. Let's try to delete a user or a registry. Let's add a project. And this, it's easy to get bogged down in the details of this, but you actually have to have this. If you don't have this, you never know that your system is up. So after you undergo an upgrade, how are you going to go regression test what you have? Well, one of the ways is you run through your disaster recovery validation and you make sure that those procedures and all those steps are working. You can't just, one person's like, oh, I checked it and it works, it's all working. Is another person's like, it's not working. Right. So I can't tell you how many times, I have found like critical systems failures by following a procedure for this kind of thing. And maybe that's why I get the big bucks. I don't get the big bucks. It also makes me insufferable to work with because I don't like systems that aren't tested. And there's a bunch of cowboys that'll push something out. So why is it taking you so long? Because I'm writing test cases and I'm validating that it works. But you should have had it done 2 days ago. Stormy Daniels. Yay, Stormy. Welcome to the stream. Now you're in my YouTube video too. Thank you for that. Okay, so anyway, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna try to get this test done, and then if we have time, we'll move on and we'll finish the build script. We'll inject the Harbor namespace building into it, even though a lot of people just assume it's there. I actually want to add. I like being able to just run the build script and have it detect whether the namespace Harbor already exists and say, oh, I don't want to blow away the existing namespace in this thing. I want the build thing to actually not blow away the existing one unless it's explicitly done. And if it's not there, add it. Right. So we got to add that. That's pretty easy to add to the build script. Actually, that might be. Well, let me think about this for a second. I'm trying to decide whether we want to put it we want the build script in the current format. Build is not well. We'll talk about it later. Whether it goes in there, I'm hesitating because build doesn't necessarily have visibility into the cluster to find that out. But possibly it's okay to do that. I'm actually going to ask my teammate on that. Okay, so then we'll get to the deploy script. These are all the things that we have to do, right? So if you want to stay tuned, or just watch the YouTube video tomorrow, and I can report on what we did. If you want to follow along in the repo is that's the Harbor docs. Where is the repo? The repo is no, it's rwxrob/katesapp/harbor. And it's the branch. The branch is the PR that you want to follow along with is modernizing the latest KateSapp. This is a draft PR. It should be a draft, yeah. And you can actually see all the files that were changed. I did try to put kind of I don't know if you saw, but I did try to put like the things that have to be done here as checkboxes, but I don't know. I'm also just using the notes file. So if you want to keep up with what's going on that, let me know. Especially if you've got Kubernetes knowledge and you think I'm doing something bad. Hey, you doing, Stormy? I actually am not very good at Kubernetes. There, I said it. I'm not, because I don't like it. I'm more of a senior systems API developer, even though I'm also bad at that at times. I'm not the best. Okay, I'm just not. So if you're looking at me looking for the best possible thing, no, I'm good at stuff, but this is a good place for you to come figure this stuff out. So it's very likely that I've made huge mistakes and stuff. And if you see anything wrong, let me know, and we'll go with that. All right, so that's the end of this video, and we'll see you. Bye.